Hi everybody. Today I want to make this pendant and bail. Actually, it's going to be a necklace or a choker. Um, I think it will look nice if we wrap the leather in wax linen here. This is not wax linen. This is some kind of nylon cord. I just wanted to give you an idea of what my idea was. See, it makes it look, I don't know, and it would look good too without the wrapping. But I thought maybe some wax linen would, it would kind of stick to the leather, and it wouldn't be able to slide around. I think the wax linen would do a much better job if this is what we decide to do. So you wouldn't think that this little pendant and bail would take so many ingredients, but there's quite a bit to it. So let me go ahead and give you a materials list. Let's start off. We need 2 jump rings, a lobster claw clasp, and a couple of these little cord ends. I guess any small cord end that you have would work. These are just like crimp. You crimp the sides down on the cord, and then you put your jump ring through the end and your lobster claw clasp and your loop to connect it to. Alright, I've got some 15-0 seed beads in a Montana blue gold luster. I've got some 8-0 seed beads in black diamond gold lines. I've got some Czech Silkies in a dark bronze, almost that red lava color, but not quite. And I've got some 11-0 seed beads in turquoise. I forget what the name of these are, but they've got like travertine on them. I've got 2 different colors and styles of 2mm beads. I've got Czech pearls in 2mm, and I've got some actual little gemstone, some black spinel in 2mm. In this one, I used both Czech pearls for the 2mm, and if you don't have 2mm, you could even use 11-0 seed beads. And I've got some 3mm Czech pearls. All the amounts and all the materials will be down in the description box below for you to refer to. I've got some 2mm natural leather cord for the necklace part, and I've got some wax linen I'm going to try to wrap and see how that goes. I think that would look pretty. It gives it more of a western feel. I'm going for a western look with this color palette. So yeah, so get your, oh, I got a size 11 beading needle. Things get pretty tight. And I've got, I'm using 8-pound because it's all I have, but 6 would probably be best. Fireline and smoke. Alright, get everything together, come back, and we'll get started. Okay, so we've got as much fireline as we can handle, and then I've got a stop bead with about, I don't know, an 8-inch tail, so we can sew in afterwards. And let's pick up 4 of our 8-0 seed beads. Bring them down. Come up through the bottom from the stop bead. Do that first 8-0. past the stop bead and pull. How did I get 5? I picked up 5. Forgive me just for a second while I take one off. I could have just smashed it with my pliers, but I didn't want to take a chance of cutting my thread or weakening it. So there we go. Now we've got a right angle weave unit. Alright, so we'll come down let's reinforce this unit. I'm just going all around. We're going to be doing modified right angle weave with the Silkies and the 8/0s. So we were coming around, we reinforced. Let me make sure I didn't get my stop bead in. I think I did. Okay, so we want to be coming out this bottom bead of the unit. So let's, and then we've got to pick up our Silkies so they'll be laying like this. So we want to go this direction. Nuts are flopping everywhere on me. So we'll go that direction through the Silky. And then we'll pick up 3 8/0s. Okay. We're coming out down here at this bottom bead. And we're just going to go down through the one right next to it. And pull. And then you want to put your thread over, skipping that Silky. Kind of lead your thread over top of that Silky and up through that next seed bead. See that? And pull. And you're ready for your next unit. So pick up a Silky, 3 seed beads, coming out right here in the bottom. We want to needle down through the side 8/0 right there. Pull and bring your thread over that Silky and up through that next seed bead. See? Now this is going to naturally start turning, start curving. That's I started out playing with this and it started curving. It just kind of told me what it wanted me to do with it. It's pretty amazing. I love what you call composing, which is you just start playing with beads or painting, whatever, and you just create as you go. I love that. So pick up a Silky and 3, oops, 3 8/0s. Coming down, or you're coming out of that bottom 8-0, go down through that one on the side, pull, your thread over top of that silky, and come up through that next bead. Pick up a silky and 3 8-0s. Coming out the bottom, needle through that next, or that 8-0 on the side, the next 8-0 when you're going around. And pull. Thread over top of that silky. I gotta pick it up. And needle up through that next 8-0. Alright, if you, depending on how big or small you want your pendant, that's how many units you make. Let's see. I didn't count them, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got a total of 17 units. We'll do the last one together. So put on 16, make 16, come back, and we'll do the last one together. Okay. Now we've got 16 made. And we'll pick up one of the silkies and one 8-0 seedweed. And then we'll come up through this bead right here on the end, on the opposite side. And pull. And we'll pick up one. And we'll come down through the end bead on this side. And pull. Now, this ending was confusing for me at first, trying to figure it out. And we'll probably, well, I forgot to mention, like, we should have made, I had 17 total on this, so I should have had you made 15 units, but that's okay. We'll just have one more silky is all. It's no big deal. I could have, went back and said, oh, never mind, make 15, but it's really no big deal that we will have 18 silkies, 18 little. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to come down through. We need to come over into this silky and into this 8-0. And pull. And then we just need to pick up one more silky. and go through the next 8-0 and silky. Oops. Trying to keep it laying down so you can see. It's kind of difficult here. Now pull it tight. And that just makes it perfect so there's no space. So when I first hooked the ends, I thought, well, there's a space there. And so when I was trying to figure out this, figure out how to make this pattern work, it was simple fix just to put in another silky. Now it's exactly the same. And then you'll make sure your tail thread, your stop bead is pushed up to where it's going to hold things together. Okay. Now we will work our way into that. We're working our way to the center of the ring. So I'm going to go through that 8-0. I'm going to go up into that side 8-0. And I'm going to go over into the top or center 8-0 there. Now this is real floppy and everything, but after we get all of these beads added and everything, it's going to be nice and it'll be nice and stiff. So now we're just going to go ahead and add our 2mm, some of our 2mm rounds. So I pick up a 2mm bead. We're coming out of the 8-0 we're coming out of, jump over to that next 8-0. Seed bead, that top 8-0 seed bead of the next unit, the next right angle weave unit. And pop that right in between. Pick up one more 2mm coming out of the top 8-0 of this right angle weave unit. Just jump over into the 8 center. We're talking about the 8-0s in the very center. And pull. And pop that in there. Boy, that navy blue looks really good with this copper and gold. Okay, let's pick up another 2mm. And we're coming out of this 8-0, just jump over into the next 8-0 seed bead in the center there. See there? Pull, pop that in between those two beads. Alright, so continue going all the way around the center, putting 2mm in between the 8-0s. Come back and we'll do the next step. Alright, so we've come around and we put all of our little 2mm beads in between all the 8-0s in the center. make sure you don't pull it extra tight. You know, kind of stretch it out a little, not stretch it, but make sure it's got room to breathe. We don't want to pull that center extra tight. Alright, and so once we've come through, we're on our last 8-0, then we want to work our way down to the outside of the ring. So we're going to come down through that side 8-0, and then we want to go through the bottom 8-0 and the top of that silky. There we go. Make sure to keep that center as loose as possible. And then we want to go through the top of that same silky that we're coming out of, the second hole in it, and pull. Alright, now we're going to be working with our 3mm rounds and our 15-0 seed beads. So let's just bring a few of those forward, and we'll pick up a 15-0, 3mm, 15-0, and we're coming out of the top hole with that silky, jump into the top hole of the next. And pick up a 15-0, 3mm, and this you pretty much have to have a size 12 beading needle for all these small beads, and to be going through them as many times as some of them we will be. So I hope you're using a size 12. And one more time, pick up a 15-0, a 3mm, and a 15-0. And we're coming out of one silky top hole, we'll jump over into the next top hole, that next silky. Alright, and so let's just do the same thing all the way around and come back and we'll move on. Okay, we got the outside on, and same thing goes there. Try to keep that as loose as possible. You don't want to pull real tight. It'll start bending up your component, and we want to keep it as straight as possible. Alright, so we're coming out of the 15-0. No, we're coming out of the silky. Alright, so I just want to come down, coming out of the top hole here, we need to go down through the bottom hole. That silky, pull, try to make sure that that your thread goes down on the ends, more on the inside. Alright, and then we've come through the silky, now the 8-0. At this point, our beads are starting to get a little tighter together. And we're coming out of the bottom 8-0. We're going to go up that side 8-0. Okay. Now, we are going to embellish these components. So I'm going to pick up my one of my 2mm colors. I'm still going to, right now I'm still using the navy blue, and I'm coming out the top of that 8/0. I want to go in the bottom of the 8/0 and come out the top. And pull, and that'll set that 2mm right down in that little component. Okay, pick up another 2mm, coming out the top of that 8/0, and jump over, go in the bottom, and be coming out the top of the next 8/0, the one on the opposite side of the unit that we're coming out of, the 8/0 on the opposite side. Pull, and that'll pop that 2mm right in the center of that component. One more time, let's pick up a 2mm. We're coming out of this component, or we're coming out the top of this 8/0. Just want to flip over, go through the bottom, and come out the top of the 8/0 opposite it. Here we go. And pull, and that'll pop that, oops, that'll pop that 2mm right down in the center of that right angle weave component. See? And so we want to have those all, let's embellish every component with the 2mm. Come back and we'll do the next step. Okay. We've come through our last 8/0, up through our last 8/0. We're coming out the top. Now, all we need to do is needle through that very next 2mm purl. All right. And that gets us ready for our next step, which is we're going to put our second color of 2mm in between those 2mm that we just added. So bear with me with these vanilles. Their holes are really small, and it's hard to get them on the needle. So we're coming out of this 2mm. We're going to so the hole is going to be diagonal. It's not going to be exactly in the center. So you just have to find your hole and come through it and pull. Okay, pick up another 2mm, second color of 2mm. Or you can use all one color, it's up to you. In case you can't see the holes on these. There we go. And we're coming out of this 2mm. The ones we just added, the ones we're going through. And we're going to find the hole in the next 2mm. This row might take us a while because the holes are so small you can't see. There we go. And we're going to put that 2mm right in between those 2mm beads. Pick up a 2mm. There we go. And we're going to find the hole in the next 2mm. Here we are. And we're going to, oops, wow. These little 2mm pearls are so petite, it's not funny. Like that one, it wasn't even, you know, I had only went through one time, it wasn't even tight. So you get the gist. Go through each 2mm, putting another 2mm in between them. Okay. And those ones I am pulling pretty tight, so they'll, you know, be together. But I've got to fix this. I got to put another pearl there. So but you get the gist. Go ahead and do that and come back and we'll do the next step. Okay, so I've got on my last 2mm in the center, and I'm coming out of a blue, navy blue 2mm pearl right there. I'm going to come down through the 8/0 underneath. Make sure to get your thread down in between. And we're going to go through the 8/0, the bottom. And then that silky right beside of it. And then we're going to come up through the top hole of that same silky. And we're going to come up through that 15/0, 3mm 15/0. And then we're going to put, and I've decided to, I switched my 11/0 seed beads to Montana blue, gold mustard to match my 15/0s. And I'm just going to jump over into the next 15/0, 3mm 15/0. And I'm putting that 11/0 right in between the two 15/0s there to make it like a little point. Alright, then we'll pick up another 11/0, go through the 15/0, 3mm 15/0. Try not to pull real tight. Pick up another 11/0, go through the next 15/0, 3mm 15/0, and pull. One more time, pick up an 11/0, go through the 15/0, $3mm 15/0. Alright, so do that all the way around. Add 11/0 seed bead in between every two 15/0s. Come back and we'll do the next step. Okay, so we're coming out of a 15/0. We need to tie off, so we'll make some half-hitch knots by going on a thread bridge, pull until you have a small loop, and pull it down, and then go through the next bead and pull that. Pull that knot up into that bead if we can. What's going on here? Alright, so we won't tie a knot before the 15 O's, but go through that 15 O, and then we'll do a knot before the 11 O, go through the 15 O, find a thread bridge, and go through the next 3mm and 15 O. Alright, so continue tying knots and going around, but try to keep it as loose as possible. Try not to pull your knots, pull your thread real tight. I'm going to keep those as loose as possible. Come back and we'll do the bail.